Next would be to install a distributor, and I got to get set up for that. And we'll probably do a valve. I'll do a valve lash adjustment. The crank. If you had like an L20 or the later ones, they had that little boss on the cam. You grab a wrench and put it on that boss eccentric, and you'll just turn your crank till this wrench line, you'll rest right on that head bolt. Then you tighten it to spec. If you don't have that eccentric, you got to use the screwdriver thing, which is a little bit on the tacky side, but I can't think of another better way unless someone else makes a video that can do it. You probably want to put a wood under here so you don't ruin the valve cover. You tighten it per spec, bam, 100 pounds, I believe it is. And do the same thing with the cam sprocket. Tighten it, the spec, bam. Move everything. If you did move it back to top dead center so we can do the oil pump. I have it marked with a big ink pen mark. Turn it past, then tighten the chain up and keep it tight. Bam, and everything should line up. The V-notch, the dash, the crank sprocket, you're good to go. I'm going to take a little detour on this and do a little alternator. I use external regulated alternators. I got this from zenthusiast.com. I think guy's name is Brian. They're 30 bucks. You can adjust it in and out so you don't have a belt slip. Very good. I like it. I should have put them on. If you ever change a radiator, do it then. Or if you use your stock alternator bracket, you might have to shim it up like that. What I do is put this in there, line the alternator up. Due to different vehicles, they have different type of alternator adjustment brackets. You might have to go on the inside or outside to make sure that lines up, because they have this tendency to crack right here. So you might have to put washers here and might have to use a thread locker on this. I've seen these come out, hit a fan, could do something like that. This alternator I got from nissanparts.cc. Most of them, the external regulated type, have that little black cover in the back that's for the voltage, for the bridge rectifier. You see that little black covering? This looks like an IR type because it doesn't have that black thing, but this is an external regulated type, and this is part number 23100-U6501R. Order one. I like them, 50 amps, big bolt. Modify your bracket and take your old one, put it in a box, take it to the Nissan dealer. You're not going to get no money, but recycle it so it's enthusiasts can get more of them. Keep these on. They're only 51 bucks. They're cheap. I also like using the external regulator of the Wells brand. That will be sold by CarQuest or I can't think of it. AutoZone. AutoZone is the other one. They sell these. They're only 20 bucks. I've only gone one bad one. Do not buy an American-made USA Napa Elkin Neoff brand mechanical voltage regulators. They're 40 bucks. They're more expensive, and I had them overvolt, so you should run a meter. You'll cook your battery and ruin your nice engine and paint. What I'm going to show here next, real quickly, is your oil sender. The stock oil sender is Japanese, made a lot of English cars under license back in the early 60s. They use a lot of British pipe threading, so this will be a 1/8 British standard pipe fine that goes into the block. So if you ever have the stock one where you plug the wire in, the little diaphragm, sometimes those will go leak and they'll drain out and make it look like an oil pan gasket is bad. So change that first if you have a bad oil leak. But if you want to go to a gauge, auto meter gauge, or try to avoid those Taiwan gauges. I mean, I'd rather just run a stock temp gauge and stuff like that before I run those cheesy Taiwan meters. Most of those aftermarket meters, wherever you buy VDO, Stewart Warner, or whatever, most of those kits will always come with the 1/8 National Pipe Thread Fine, NPTF. So they will screw partly way into the block, but if you overdo it, they could bust in there, or you can't get them out. So what I do is I buy this adapter. I got it from Renton B&B Auto Parts, and then it goes to the regular 1/8 NPTF, and which most kits come in. They come with a right angle, and you just sleeve it to the plastic line. Don't use those Taiwan plastic lines. If the top end guys, the high razor types, probably use a copper line. And if you want quicker response, you go to a bigger line. I don't know if they have a kit for that, but if you're going to run a plastic line, buy the Autometer brand. I think they're really made by Nylon Flow Company, because those plastic lines, they heat up, get cold, heat, cold, and they'll crack, and you'll have an oil spill all over the place. So maybe keep a brand new stock sender in the car in case you're going to go far, in case those lines go bad. Also, I use Nissan on a new motor. First, I'll buy a cheap oil filter, but then I'll use the Nissan ones. The Fram ones, or those cheap ones, if you rush real fast, you can leave that rubber on there, and then you'll stack them and you'll have a blowout. We'll go to the other side here. I don't know if you can see that. I run on my L16, I believe it's the cleanest setup. The headers or exhaust manifold is pretty good. The Y pipe, if you got L20 guys, I don't know how that's really going to work. Some L20s come with a round port exhaust, and I don't know if they have a short tube header. I would base everything on a short tube header. Don't get a long tube header in case you go L20. The long tube headers will hit the floor of the truck or car or whatever. So always get a short tube. And if you run a truck, you can get past the torsion bar. The L20s, they have those nasty manifolds. You can never get those bolts. People say, oh, it's really easy to do an L series. It is very easy to do an L series, but however, in the L20s, you can't get those bolts. You have to use those sockets, those U-joint sockets, and it's a pain in the ass, especially in the car. So if I was a L20 square port, I get the top end performance header, paint them, ceramic coat them or whatever. Don't use that black paint that comes on there. Those wear off. Spend the extra bucks and get a titanium coated. My ceramic coat only goes up to $1,300, but they have other stuff that goes up to $2,000, and it's for the same price. So I run the stock water line and no bypass. Some L16s, the 510s, they had a thermostat housing with a bypass, and it went to the tube. Those rubber hoses are no longer available. If you just use a regular one, it puts a kink in there, and I don't know if that's good. So the L20 guys have a stovepipe manifold. You want them, if you live in a cold area, and it doesn't come with the holes in the block, in the head, I mean. These are big since they're stock, but I would just put a 1/4 inch hole. So in case you want to go to side drafts, the hole is not so big where you have water leak problems. Personally, I use a 1/4 inch NPT pipe plug, and I will show that in a later video with the tap for them. And if you run a L20, of course they have the crankcase vent that comes up and out, and you want to run an L16, maybe clean L16 manifold, you just get an L16 pipe, cut it, go like this. Also, for those L20 guys that want to run headers, be careful of those headers. Those flanges are not the same thickness, so when you put that washer on there, that thin header, that washer is going to go cocked-eye, and you probably have water leak problems if you have holes in the head, or exhaust leak problems. Header will go in like this. I don't know if you can see it, but this flange see how they built this header up? They put a little bung on here to build it up. They put that on there and makes this is a thick header already. The other ones are even like 1/4 inch less than this. Or they're real thin, I mean. So when you buy eBay stuff, be careful. I personally just get Top End Performance, Classic Datsun Motorsports. Dave Turner used to sell them. You got to check the Dime Quarterly for those parts. Okay, we have our motor on top dead center, number 1, compression stroke. Chain is tightened. Our cam is lined up, V-notch on the dash. And look at our lobes. We should go to our oil pump distributor drive. It's in that famous 11, right side of the top one, bottom of the left one, 1128 position. What we'll do is install a distributor. There are many different distributors. What we'll do is install it stock. Dual point. What you do is turn it in like this. All the L16 ones will have the plate up front. You just get it to 0 wherever this pointer lines up. That will be your number 1 cap. That will be your number 1. Let me get a cap. Okay, back to the dual point L16 distributor. Note that make sure that the pedestal always matches the timing plate for the distributor. They should always come in pairs. Do not just yank the distributor off. An L16 will not, pedestal will not fit on the L20. Get an L16 cap as this. Place it on there. Notice where number 1 is pointing. Since this is on the correct stroke, this is the dual part I'm pushing out of the way. I don't even run the dual points. I disconnect this anyway. This is the main set right here with the big capacitor there. Get your cap, index it. Number 1 is right there. 1, 3, 4, 2 counterclockwise fire order. You're done. That's it. My main point wire, I believe, is it should be a red on a 510. It's the red black with a red stripe. That is your main one. The second one goes to your on the firewall of a 510 is your 3rd gear switch. You'll see that little plastic box. There'll be a little micro switch in there, and that engages and retards the ignition. I prefer just disconnect this or just pull the wire and run a single point and adjust it to 10. That is it. You could, if you're really dumb, you can always rotate this way like that, but that's not the way it goes. So that's where half the problems come out. When in doubt, pull all the plug wires. What we're installing here is a Datsun 620 truck distributor. This is also a single point, came in later rigs. You can put the vacuum advance here, turn this till it locks down, locks down. Notice that points a different direction. So we'll grab a L20 cap,